What's going on, world? This is your girl, and I'm still sitting in the same chair I've been sitting in since Friday, March the 13th. And a couple of things have worked very well for me and my business. One, the fact that I have a customer relationship management system. Two, the fact that I had embraced the virtual world well before the pandemic occurred. And so, my co host, he said, I met this fabulous young lady. I think you should interview her, Marky, because she's going to talk about some of your favorite subjects. She's going to talk about a CRM, and she is, let me get it straight, a virtual meeting facilitator. So, like, I got 1,000,001 questions for her today. I want to welcome to the show Tamara Burkett. What's going on, Tamara?
Hey, Marky, how you doing?
Girl, I am doing fine. Okay. And when I saw your bio, I said, I got 1,000,001 questions. I treat these like consultation sessions, right? I can have my little notepad. I got my little sticky notes now. And I'm like, I got all kind of questions on how to leverage the space. And probably some of my questions are not going to be intro level questions, but we are going to give the people intro level. I want
Mhm.
you to tell the world what it is that you do and how can that enhance their businesses today.
Absolutely. So I provide two major services. One is all about the customer relationship management journey. So whether you are searching for a system, whether you have a system, but you have issues with customizing it, or you have all that, but you're just not using it effectively, I help you with your journey so that you can get a return on investment. So that's one side of the business. The other piece is I help people with their virtual meetings and their virtual events. So how can you, again, leverage that strategically? So again, your clients or your attendees get the most value out of their time. You're able to engage people and everyone walks away happy and not drained.
Happy and not drained. And you know what? I don't even know where to start. I'm going to start with this. We're going to go backwards. At first, I wanted to talk about the CRM first, but
Uh-huh.
because you just said that,
Mm-hmm.
so historically, I'm on the road 100 nights per year as a keynote speaker.
Uh-huh.
With every ed director or CEO who has had to cancel or postpone or decide to take their event virtual,
Uh-huh.
I can hear the tension in the email that they send me.
Mm.
And it's sort of like, woo. So what I started to do was pick up the phone to call them as
Yes.
opposed to emailing them back because one, I want them to know they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they hired the right person, right? The
Right.
person who could pivot. So I'm like, hey, I need to know what it is. What are
Mm-hmm.
your outcomes are you looking for your event? But I
Mm-hmm.
am a virtual presenter. I have a 4K live streaming studio at home. I know how to use Zoom, Adobe Connect, uh,
Mm-hmm.
go to webinars,
Yes.
and I can hear their voices change
Yeah.
over the phone because
Mhm.
one, they expecting that I'm getting ready to call them and be a diva, right?
Mhm.
With all
Mhm.
these unrealistic expectations for their virtual event.
Right.
Why are people in the
Mhm.
US, because before we hopped on this call, you said, look, Marky, this has been going on for a decade. So that let us know we a little bit late. We slow,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Why do you think that people in the US
Uh-huh.
have been behind on adapting to the virtual world?
Oh wow. Oh my goodness. You really want my opinion.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Wait, now, let me say this. I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a straight shooter, so I
right.
like to hit them hard with the
Right.
facts and the truth. I tell people call me TT Marky because I'm that cool aunt who gonna give it to you straight, whether you
Right.
like it or not.
Right. Straight no chaser. All right.
Exactly.
I
So
got
come
you.
on, yeah. Let's tell them the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today.
Okay. Absolutely. I'm with that. I'm with that. So there are a few reasons that I see. One is that you have these gatekeepers. You have these people who are really dominating in their industry, who don't want to give up that in-person space, that traditional model, because it's working for them, right? And that leads to their opinions on whether or not virtual works, right? So you have that resistance in the background. And then you have the fear of the unknown. Americans are somewhat, not somewhat, we are resistant to change, right? If it's not something where there's a huge campaign being led, you have this champion who's saying, yes, go forth. Like any of our presidents, any one political head that's saying this, you have those issues. So there are people who are invested in business in that more in-person business model, you know, and then you don't have anyone truly champion in making this information widespread. In addition, when you look at Asia and those countries, they are comfortable with uncertainty, right? So, for instance, when you look at China and you look at Japan and you look at those countries and the pandemic today, they're figuring it out and they're rolling with it, right? They're doing whatever they need to do to continue their daily lives, and they adjust and move on. What are we doing here in America?
You know what?
Protests and all these things. And I mean, good. I'm not judging whatever's going on, because I mean, we have issues, right? But in the business world, we're looking at people who are panicking. They are struggling. They don't know how to take what they do in person and move that into the virtual world.
So you have just confirmed something for me. I was watching ESPN this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about baseball, and the discussion was around our short-term financial gain will
Mm-hmm.
cost us more long-term, because of people's inability to pivot in this
Mm-hmm.
time where they think they have to do everything in the traditional manner that they were doing it, that they're jeopardizing their current health, but we're seeing long-term health issues as a result of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about doing one event face to face this year, because the organization just mentally couldn't get over doing a virtual event.
Mm-hmm.
I had already decided that that was the language from ESPN, that I cannot allow a short-term financial gain to
Mm-hmm.
have a long-term impact on my business. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually saving you and myself, and
Right.
saying either we need to do this virtually or we could postpone the event until the coast is clear.
Right.
So what you're saying is something that I'm seeing time and time again. But what you might not know, in my industry, the National Association of Realtors
Mm-hmm.
had decided that they were going to take their event virtual. It
Uh-huh.
was like every organization
Mm-hmm.
was waiting for that. That was confirmation for them
Right.
that
Mm-hmm.
they should also do their event virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So my business looks like I won't be face to face until
Mm-hmm.
second quarter 2021.
Mm-hmm.
But I've made money throughout the pandemic because I was willing to
Right.
embrace the virtual environment.
Right. Right. And be creative, because you can engage people when they're sitting in their offices, their home offices, and they're watching things. But you have to get creative and you have to be willing to go there. I've been to virtual conferences where they had the music playing. It was live when you came on. They had us do different kind of like searches and bringing up different like personal items and talking to the group. So I find the virtual conferences and those meetings more of an intimate space where I'm getting to know people and make those deeper connections that I would not have had that opportunity in abundance as I do now. So there are some advantages to doing things virtually that you have to consider once you get over that idea that, oh, you have to do everything in person, because you don't.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. But let me say this, I think people also need to prepare. So
Mm-hmm.
coming into quarantine, historically, I would be the only person working from home
Right.
in this house.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's a locomotive engineer. My youngest son historically would go to school face to face.
Mm-hmm.
And then my oldest son is a consultant at Accenture, and he would work, he travels the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to adjust the house. right?
Yeah.
So right now, my phone is unplugged, so it won't
Mm-hmm.
ring from the house. My
Uh-huh.
phone is on vibrate, right? And actually, I
Mm-hmm.
have it sitting on my desk. I need to put it on the floor so we won't hear it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it vibrates.
Right.
I forewarned the house, do not make any loud noises for the
Right.
next hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we had to upgrade our Wi-Fi package to be
Mm-hmm.
able to accommodate all of these people now working in the house.
Right. Exactly. And I feel for um parents and families with young children because they have to figure out how to do the schooling. And now that summer's out, you still have to figure out a way to keep them occupied and engaged in a healthy way, but you still got to do your work, you know?
I would say
So,
this, I believe as Americans, we're probably feeling a little bit overworked.
mhm.
One thing that I just implemented last week
Yeah.
was to not come to work at 7 a.m. So I'm getting
Mhm.
up, I'm in this office 7 a.m. most days. And
Mhm.
I said, Marky, why are you going into that office at
Mhm.
7 a.m.?
Uh-huh.
Go into that office at 9 a.m. So
Mhm.
I changed my time because it's like, I think they're getting more productivity out of us
Right.
working from home because they're getting our commute time too now,
Mhm. They
right?
are. Mhm.
As we walk cutely down the hall, like I'm prancing from the master bedroom to my office, every bit of 20 feet, right?
Uh-huh.
Very short walk, very short commute. Um,
Right.
so what are you, when you say creative,
Mhm.
what is something, what are three things that you've seen done creatively in the past 3 months that you were like, oh, that's new inside of the
Yeah.
virtual space?
Yeah, sure. So, one, like I said, was the idea of them playing music when you come in to spark that energy, to get that energy flowing. So that's one piece. Another is during the presentation. We're used to sharing our screen and seeing the PowerPoint. Well, this person had their, I believe they had their computer connected to their iPad and they were drawing. So as they were talking, they were drawing. I'm like, "Ooh, I need to do that one. What is that trick?" you know. So that was a way to get us engaged, and they were moving. So it went from them sitting to them drawing to them standing up and writing on the easel, and that made things really interesting and dynamic. So that's one piece that I saw that was very interesting. And the other is using more of the breakout rooms where we have time to engage each other. When I first started using Zoom, and Zoom is my platform of choice, but there's other ones that are as good, equally as good. Um, it was mostly just one-on-one meetings. We'll just come in, you have these talking heads, we'll do our thing, we jump off, right? But now it's, we come in, we do the breakout, we do this, we do a poll, we talk about the polling, someone draws, so it's much more of a dynamic meeting where it takes out that fatigue, that sense of draining of energy, just because you're sitting and you paying attention to other people. Then you're looking at yourself like it's a mirror to make sure you look good. It's a lot going on. So those are the things I find out are really interesting, the level of engagement.
One thing that I've done that's new, and actually I can demonstrate it here for our video.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're in the world of real estate, I
Mm-hmm.
have a staged background. And let
Mm-hmm.
me say this, I did not want to change my stage background.
Mm-hmm.
But one event that I was doing, they stated that I had to have their virtual background.
Uh-huh.
So it took me 15 minutes to realize the value of me having their virtual background. So
Mm-hmm.
I went and purchased me a ceiling mounted green screen. So
Mm-hmm.
now what I'm doing, and I'm not putting the green screen on,
Mm-hmm.
but what I've encouraged people in real estate to do is for them to switch out their background and do
Mm-hmm.
a virtual showing, right? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting right here now and
Mm-hmm.
I'm consistently changing out my background. This one is actually branded to me. So last week I told
Right.
people I was the Double Mint twins, right?
Yeah.
But this is actually, I went and downloaded these photos. This is one
Mm-hmm.
listing of my office where you can, in this Zoom environment, you can actually come and change your background out
Absolutely.
to
Mm-hmm.
match the organization or
Mm-hmm.
to add additional, think of it as a whiteboard. right?
Right.
But it's already created. So you can take your PowerPoint and slide through it the same way I was, and
Mm-hmm.
point up to here and say, and over here, right? And
Right.
treat it like the whiteboard. And so there's so many things, but we have to
Mm-hmm.
concentrate on solutions, not on the
Yeah.
problem. And
Right.
everybody's making this out to be a big, it is a problem,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't mean that we can't come up with creative solutions or how to
Right.
overcome some of the issues.
Right. And when it comes to meeting virtually, I think the concern that people feel is it's not the same as in person because you don't have the same engagement, but it can be. Again, and that's where that creativeness comes in, because it's really about how do you keep your audience, your attendees engaged, right? And how do you make sure that whatever content you are sharing, that it's of value, it's enough for them to sit for however many hours that it calls for in a conference. And it's interesting when it comes to the virtual backgrounds. It's a very strategic way that you can build connections, like you said, Marky, when you talked about the virtual background you used for the people you spoke with. Was it like a prospect or a potential client?
It's a client. And let
Mm-hmm.
me say this: I don't have any problem. It was the National Association of Realtors, who I do a lot of work with,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't want to change my background out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as I'm sending them the email about what I don't want to do, I'm thinking to myself, well, if you order the green screen, and then
Yes.
I started playing with it. I said, but then you could switch out the background for every organization.
Yeah.
That's your value add, where you
Mm-hmm.
can now do the custom PowerPoint and the green screen.
Absolutely.
And you can bring in more photos that reflect the organization that you're working for.
Absolutely.
So within 10 minutes, I sent a whole nother email. One
Uh-huh.
apology. I said, you know what? Now that I've calmed, now this was my email back to them.
Right.
Now that I've calmed down and realized that maybe me having a staged office isn't the best thing for the organizations,
Mm-hmm.
I've placed my order for my green screen. It will be here on so and so day,
Mm-hmm.
and I can now offer this as a benefit. But let me show you what I did in the meantime. Wait, can I
Mm-hmm.
see it? I'm trying to see if I got it over here. Oh, I do. Hold on. So in the meantime,
Mm-hmm.
I went to, and this is for everybody watching, okay? This is another tip. In the
Right.
meantime, I was looking for an inexpensive green screen to put up,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I went because I didn't want to spend the money on the green paper.
Mm-hmm.
Green folders right now, you can probably get them 10 cents a piece. I'm serious. You can make this green screen right now today would cost you less than $1.
Right.
I put this sucker, I taped it up. I think it was either here or the higher shelf. It dropped
Mm-hmm.
down and I narrowed that camera in and
Yes.
created my own little makeshift green screen
Yes.
out of green. These are green folders.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we had to improvise,
Right.
but
You
when
can get creative with that. I've had people go to thrift stores and find a green sheet and just put it up there. And that's the thing with virtual backgrounds. It's fun when you're just popping up virtual screens and things, and it's a casual connection. But when it's professional, it's a must to have a green screen. Because you don't want that waving or that missing arm because you moved. Right.
let me tell you, and that was all in my complaint, right? I'm like, we should not do virtual backgrounds. I see people
Mm-hmm.
breaking in and out. They look like they're floating. It just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't always look crisp. And
Right.
so after I did that, and then I went and wall mounted my own, it's
Yeah.
now a part of my package.
Yes.
It's an add-on. And the
Yeah.
beautiful thing about Zoom, which is how, and I'm telling my competitors how I'm getting their business, right? Is that I'm sending everybody back an MP4, a MP3, and a
Mm-hmm.
text transcription.
Yeah.
Plus, on occasion, the value add is I take Zoom and I stream to their Facebook page to build their
Absolutely.
Facebook engagement.
Absolutely.
So now,
Yeah. So that's strategic. So you're talking about using Zoom in a strategic way. It's not just about the video, but it's all the things that you can leverage in Zoom. The fact that you can transcribe your recordings, I mean, you can go and repurpose that, and that can be a blog. Those can be social media posts. You know, it's amazing what you can do with this one tool.
And actually, that is what I do, right? So after our show is recorded, it's going to be a podcast. It's going to syndicate across different podcast networks. It's going to be a blog post. We're going to embed the video. It's going to build out the YouTube channel. And so to me, I look at the Zoom in the fact that video is the only form of content that we can repurpose without recreating.
Absolutely.
And
it's amazing what it can do.
It is amazing, right? But we had to get people over the fear of how they think they look.
Yeah. Girl, you go. Let me show you where you go. I tell people, go into your video settings, and there's the settings to make you look better. Smooth over your skin, your complexion. You'll be all right.
I've worn makeup since Friday, March the 13th. I did have a makeup session last week only for a photo shoot for a magazine here in the city of Chicago. And I tell people all the time, I said, look, if you put that light in the right way, you sit in this chair the right way, you can make yourself, without any additional resources, just with the cameras you have, you can make yourself look 10 to 15 years younger.
Yeah.
Seconds.
Yeah, you can.
When people see you, they're gonna be like, but that's not really how you look. Exactly. You want to be recognizable when people run across you. So now we're doing these virtual events. However, I believe in the almighty CRM, customer relationship management system. Is there a way to leverage the virtual event to get more people into the customer relationship management system in order to grow your business?
Yeah. So in Zoom and in other platforms, when they sign up for your virtual event, when they register, you can integrate your CRM so that their information goes straight into your database. And from there, you can do email marketing. You can get them excited about the event. You can send them a swag bag. Like, use this, this notepad and this and that for the conference. So you really want people to get excited about attending your conference.
So I wrote myself a little note. And it was, when I don't know how to do something or I need to do something, I write a how to, right? So the note that I wrote to myself was how to leverage Zapier more.
Yes.
What I just heard you tell me is that I can connect my Zoom to Mailchimp using Zapier, so that every time someone registers for one of my webinars, I can actually send them a digital swag bag if I desire, or I can mail it out. So I'm gonna say, thank you. Because a lot of the organizations I work for, they don't have the enterprise version of Zoom. I do. So I set their events up inside of my system.
There you go. Hey, ching. I feel them coins coming in, some extra coinage.
I need every last one of them coins. So Zapier, Zoom to Mailchimp. So just for those who did not understand what just happened, Zoom, anytime if you mandate registration, it's going to actually populate a CSV form on the back end that I'm sending to. That's another thing. So I send everyone their registration forms, and it tells how long people attended the meeting. So we're also using this for continuing education in real estate. Well, there's a third-party tool called Zapier. Some people call it Zapier. I can integrate my Zoom to Mailchimp, where every time a person registers, I can have an automated email sequence that goes to them, but then their contact information is in my customer relationship management system. Just so we can explain that to y'all.
Right.
And I can automate it to also send a direct mail piece as well.
Yes. So Zapier is kind of like this virtual, I call it an extension cord. Like, you can plug two softwares, you can connect two softwares together that wouldn't normally integrate. So that is what I'm looking at when I work with a customer and we're talking about their workflow of how things operate, what are their processes and systems. There are two things that are important. One is to either minimize or eliminate data entry for them. And two, make it as easily accessible and easy to use. So when you talk about, okay, I have this Zoom or this webinar I'm setting up, or I have this podcast I'm setting up, and I want it to go into my database, and right now we're manually doing that. We'll use Zapier to connect the two if it doesn't already integrate. A lot of CRMs today on the market, they integrate with a lot of add-on software like a Zoom or like a calendar, a scheduler, and things of that nature. So you can connect all these things together and just make it easier for you to have everything in one place.
Yep. Love it, because I'm paying for it, but I wasn't utilizing all of my zaps per month.
Uh-huh.
And so now you've given me a to-do item to go
Mhm.
connect the two, but then also setting up an email automation system that says, thank you for attending our event, and maybe 2, 3 emails, and
Yep.
then they'll go into receiving my podcast. So,
Yeah.
ooh, I feel
Yeah. And you
excited.
want to segment them. So you may want to use some tags to that.
So segment and add tags.
Yep. Add tags to your different groups. If you're going to integrate that all, you would want to know what event they came from, right? Or
Yep.
who hired you or things like that. So think about that. How do your tag system for that?
Have to come up with a tag set. So
Mm-hmm.
narrowing down.
Right. You're really grouping people so that one, you know how to talk to them when you do your nurturing sequence, and two, you can gauge their interest level,
So
right?
tell people what a nurturing sequence is, because they might not know.
A nurturing sequence is a series of emails, and you can think of it kind of like a soap opera, like one kind of builds off of another, kind of builds off of another. So it's an ongoing conversation for people. If you're again creating a webinar, and let's say that people who register are going into your CRM system, and you want to create a nurturing sequence, you can have anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 emails talking about that event, some things they can look for. You can also add different, like free digital products or a PDF, all in the name of preparing for that webinar to get them excited. So one, they actually show up and they're interested, but they also stay engaged.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to get better at segmenting and tagging. I
Mm-hmm.
have just maybe 3 sets of tags.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I will say it is not my greatest skill set. What I do a good job at is collecting data. I've always had some type of database, um,
Mm-hmm.
but the segmenting and then going deep uh,
Yeah.
into that person is not my strong skill set.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are looking at a CRM, what are like 3 things you think they should look for in a customer relationship management system?
Oh, sure. So there are a few things I call standard features, and I call these table stakes. You should just automatically have these features. If they don't have them, you don't look anymore. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Move on. So one piece is the integration. We talked about that earlier. It's so vital for your CRM to have integration with other systems, because you're gonna need other tools besides your CRM, and you want to be able to centralize your information so you can look at what's going on in your business. So integration is key. The second piece you want to look at is something simple, but if they have a tiered system, a tiered plan. 9 times out of 10, your business is going to evolve, it's going to grow, and you will need more features. So to be able to look at a system and say, okay, whenever I'm ready for this feature, I have it. I don't have to go outside of this software to find what I need. They have it all there. Again, it helps you grow, and you don't have to worry about migrating to a completely new system, because you will lose data when you do that. So that's the second piece. The other piece is, I tell people to look at their customer support. Are you the type of person that, you get a system, you can figure it out, you don't need to talk to anybody on the phone? Okay, good. Well, Pipedrive may be great for you. Me, I need somebody I can talk to. So if that's not an option and I can't get on the phone with somebody to figure it out when I absolutely need to, or it's really hard to find their phone number, I don't give it a second thought. I'm moving on because I know that's something that I need personally. Again, it depends on where you are, how tech savvy you are, but customer support is essential to look at in any system. The second piece is understanding that each CRM system has basically four components that make up a CRM system. That includes basic reporting. So they need to have reporting involved. They also need to have some sort of task management, contact management. So organizing your information and making sure that you can tag it. And then also the reminder / calendars. So I'm a person that I need the system to remind me, but I don't always remember to input that information in the system so it can remind me. So, I look for automated reminders, something where I can set it right away. Like if this person, I know they are a prospect, I want to, talk to them every 3 days or once a week. I want to be able to set that and walk away and it'll come up on my agenda. Like, oh, you need to talk to Marky. You haven't spoken to her in like 5 days. So those are things that you really want to make sure that your piece have. And then, one more essential piece is making sure they have a trial plan. I don't mess around with any systems that does not give me a trial plan of at least 14 days. 7 days is not enough because you have to figure out within 7 days, how are you going to start playing with this system? How are you going to squeeze that in your time? So you need at least 14-day trial in order to test it out and see if it's a good feel, if it helps you throughout your day, manage your day, or if it's just another extra thing on your plate.
I'm glad you mentioned that 14 days because normally we do need over the course of the weekend, right? Because for me, Monday through Friday, I'm generally working on traditional business tasks, lead generation, things of that nature.
Right.
If I'm going to implement a system for it to soak in, for me to play with it and feel, not disturbed while playing with it,
Right.
you really need a weekend. And so I've never thought about it. But I believe in freemium. I tell people that all the time until you can pay for premium. And 14 days, I'm going to start telling people that because now that you're saying it, it's like, that is that ideal time.
Yeah.
Just kind of sit and see what can happen. And that actually should give you 2 weekends in case you don't do it the first week.
Right, exactly. Because stuff happens. And, a lot of times you can call back those companies and say, you know what, I need a little more time to play with the system. And they'll give you more time. But yeah, that 14 day is a minimum. It's a must for me.
Yeah, that is excellent. So, how do people connect with you? I'm looking, we talked about how much time we was going to talk and I'm like, oh, it feel like we just got on the phone, right? But
Yeah.
we done talked our butts off, right?
Look, I feel like it was good.
Wait, it was good. I have exactly 6 Post-it notes of things that I need to go do as a result of our conversation, right?
Well, good.
So, and that's how I treat this as a consultant session. I've been consulted by the best people in the world, including you now. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How does what products and services do you provide and how does one connect with you?
Absolutely. So I consult with people and also advise them again on their CRM journey, how to use them effectively. I believe in work with what you have. So I'm agnostic when it comes to those CRM systems. Is whatever system you have, we're gonna work with and make it work for you before we look for something else. So that's one piece. That's the services that I provide. And you can get in touch with me. You can go straight to my website. It's tamaraburkett.com, or I'm hanging out on LinkedIn, y'all. So I'm active there. You could go to either place and find me and say, hey, I heard, your podcast from Marky. Let's connect. And I will absolutely connect with you.
Well, Tamara, I appreciate your time, your energy. I really needed that virtual consultation. So guess what I'm getting ready to do? Go get me some music. And I was thinking about that music the other day because a young lady uncloned had her music. And I mean, it was a good soundtrack too. And you could tell
Hmm.
that the energy felt a lot different.
Yeah.
And I am going to use, you said, I call it Zapier, you called it Zapier.
Hmm.
But I'm going to use that system in order to connect my Zoom with my Mailchimp. So I
Yeah.
appreciate your time and your energy today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.